Welcome back to Computer Organization course. Today we will see one more method of communicating with input-output devices by the processor. It is called Direct Memory Access or DMA. We already have studied two different mechanisms through which processor can communicate with input-output devices. Input-output device communication means processor has to receive data from the input device and store it in the memory, or processor has to send data from the memory to the output device so that output device can present data to the user. Two methods which we studied for this communication, transfer data between processor memory and input output devices are, one is program controlled IO and another one is interrupts. Now this is the third method we are studying, direct memory access. When a large amount of data, not just 1 byte, 2 byte or 1 word, multiple word of data, multiple bytes of large amount or block of data has to be transferred from input device to the memory or from memory to the output device, then let us see how these two mechanisms which we already studied fails. If there is a large amount of data that has to be transferred, and in program controlled input output mechanism, processor is continuously involved in the input output communication. So when large amount data has to be transferred, more time will be consumed. So that amount of time processor must be involved in the input output communication, and it is a waste of time for the processor because IO communications is very slow when compared to processor speed. Now for overcoming that involvement of the processor in program controlled IO, we introduce interrupts. The interrupt concept is input output devices themselves inform processor when they are ready. Now what is the problem with interrupts when large amount of data has to be transferred? By default there are some issues with interrupt. That main issue is saving and restoring the data related to currently executing program. That means when processor executes a program, is under execution, a program is under execution, and suddenly an interrupt occurs, processor has to stop that program, execute interrupt service routine and come back. So for that purpose, to stop and again continue execution of a current program, processor has to save lot of data like program counter, status register, general purpose registers, and once it is saved in the stack, processor go to interrupt service routine. Once interrupt service routine is executed, to continue with the currently stopped program, processor has to restore all those data which is stored in the stack. The saving and restoring of data related to program which is under execution right now, that takes much time or it is a waste of resources. So in both mechanism, program controlled IO or interrupt, there are some disadvantages. So now when large amount of data has to be transferred, we go for direct memory access. So let us see what is direct memory access. What is direct memory access? So in general I can say two different resources of a computer system transfer data in between themselves without making processor's involvement. So processor executes its own instruction or a program, it never interfere in the communication between two other resources or data transfer between two other resources. So processor involvement is zero actually. So that is called direct memory access. Now specifically what is direct memory access? Specifically two resources are nothing but one is the memory and other resource is the either input device or output device. So input device collects the data from the user and stores directly into the memory of the processor without involvement of the processor, or the data in the memory is directly transferred to the output device without involvement of the processor. This is called direct memory access, where input output devices directly access the memory either to store or access the required data without involvement of the processor. So that's why I call it is direct memory access. Input output devices directly access the memory. When input output devices directly communicates or access main memory of the processor without processor's involvement, there must be somebody who controls that data transfer or operations. For example, if there is no processor involved and input device want to store some data in the memory, how input devices know at which address the data must be stored? Or when output device requests some data from the memory, how output devices come to know from which address it has to request the memory or data? Because processor is not involved, so somebody should be there who controls that direct memory access operations. So for this purpose, in every input output device, a separate hardware circuit is implemented, which is called DMA controller. It will be present in interface circuit of every input output device. DMA controller controls direct memory access, that is the data transfer between memory and input output devices on the behalf of processor, because processor involvement is not here. So whatever the things DMA controller actually manages, what is the amount of data that can be transferred between memory and IO devices at a time, it depends on data bus width. How large data bus is depends on that what amount of data we can transfer between memory and IO devices at a time. That size is called word size. So when a data transfer takes between main memory and IO devices, one word size data can be transferred at a time. When there are multiple words, then multiple words are transferred between memory and IO devices one by one after other. So this is called block of data, multiple words. Now when multiple words are stored in the memory one by one from the input device, or when output device want multiple words from the memory, every time we access one word of data, memory requires the initial address of the word. Only then when address of the word is given, memory can collect the data and transfer it to the output device. Or when input device has a word to be stored in the memory, it has to provide initial address of the byte in the word or word address. When word address is given, then memory can save the word size data beginning from that address. So now what happens here is DMA controller provides that memory address. The word which has to be stored or accessed, its address is actually calculated and provided by the DMA controller, because there is no processor here involved to calculate that address. And another important task of a DMA controller is when multiple words has to be accessed or stored, then it automatically increments, right, the initial address of every word, so that there will be no distraction in the data transfer. So once a word is transferred, DMA controller increments address so that it becomes address of next word. So every time new word is transferred, DMA controller automatically calculates the address of another word by incrementing the address. So these are the two important job that is done by the DMA controller on the behalf of processor. Even though DMA data transfer is nothing but direct memory access is nothing but transferring data between memory and IO devices without involvement of the processor. But who initiates direct memory access concept or process? The DMA controller will be there in every IO devices. Memory will be there. But somebody has to initiate the DMA process. That means when IO devices request a large amount of data transfer, then processor wakes up DMA controller of that particular device, gives some information to that DMA controller, and asks DMA controller to start the DMA process. So then complete control will be there with the DMA. Once DMA process is completed by DMA controller again inform back to the processor saying that DMA access is over, it's completed, by using an interrupt signal. So a simple interrupt signal is used by the DMA controller to inform processor back that whatever the DMA operation you initiated, I have completely done it without your involvement. Now whenever a DMA process is initiated by the processor, what are the information processor transfer to the DMA controller? That is starting address of the first word that has to be accessed in the memory. Starting address of the first word, and then remaining addresses are calculated by the DMA controller itself by incrementing it. Then number of words in the block. So what amount of data has to be transferred, how many words are there in that block of data, that is also informed by the processor itself, so that DMA controller can count when every word is transferred and check whether all words are transferred or not. So number of words in the data that has to be transferred is also calculated by the processor and given to the DMA controller. Then direction of transfer, whether DMA controller has to transfer data from the memory to the device or from input output device to the memory. That direction of transfer is also informed by the processor. So three things, these three informations are given by the processor to the DMA controller at the beginning when it initiates the DMA operation. Then processor starts executing its own instructions, but DMA controller directly accesses the memory, handles that DMA operation, and finally interrupts back to the processor saying that I have done the DMA operation. So this is a whole process happening in the DMA. Now let us see whatever hardware is there or different registers are there inside a DMA controller. Before that, let me clear one thing. The DMA controller is present inside the interface circuit, and interface circuit is present inside an input or output device itself. So whatever the registers you have, you can see here status and control register, starting address register, and word count registers. These registers are there in the DMA controller, where DMA controller presents in interface circuit, and interface circuits are there inside the input output device. But these registers are used by the processor to give some information to the DMA controller at the beginning of initiating DMA process. When processor finds out that a large amount of data need to be transferred from between memory and IO device, then initially processor calculates the starting address of the data in the memory. Then how many number of words need to be transferred, that count, and direction, whether data has to be transferred from the memory to the output device or from input device to the memory. So these three things are given to the DMA controller, and processor wakes up DMA controller saying that you start the DMA process. So processor stores the starting address of data, large amount of data that has to be transferred between memory and IO devices. Then processor gives how many words are there, okay, in that large amount of data, and direction. Direction is a single bit, informs read or write. Read means you have to, DMA controller has to get the data from the memory and give it to the output device. Write means DMA controller receives data from the input device, its own input device, and transfer it to the, stores it in the memory. So if the bit is 1, it is read. If the bit is 0, it is write. So processor sets that read write bit. Processor gives the starting address and word count. So all these things are stored by the processor inside the DMA controller. Now DMA controller starts DMA process. Okay, starts transfer data, starts transferring data from the starting address word by word, one word after another word, and every time it increments starting address to find the new word address. Then after complete transfer of that large amount of data, that is total number of words given by the processor, then DMA controller makes this done bit as 1. Initially it will be 0 when DMA process starts. When DMA process is completed, that means data transfer is completed, it becomes, DMA controller makes that bit as 1 to indicate the processor that it is ready to accept one more DMA operation. It is ready to handle it. But this is not read by the processor. Okay. What DMA controller does once the data transfer is over, it will go to IARQ bit and set it as a 1. That means an interrupt is occurred at the processor side. So DMA controller informs the processor that DMA operation is done using interrupt by making IRQ bit as 1. Now what is interrupt enable bit? It will be 1, then only DMA controller can interrupt the processor at the end of the data transfer. If this interrupt enable bit is 0, that means processor do not want to be interrupted. So DMA controller cannot interrupt the processor after completion of data transfer. Okay, this is interrupt enable bit and IRQ bit. Please go through the interrupt video and you can understand. So once data transfer is done, whenever one more DMA operation has to be done, then processor reads this done bit and identifies that DMA is ready to take one more operation, DMA process. So this is how DMA control registers are there and for what purpose these registers are used. Now let us see when and where the DMA controllers are used, or which kind of devices use direct memory access concept in order to transfer data between memory and IO device. Here is an example where you can see printer and keyboard do not have a DMA controller, because only when there is a large amount of data has to be transferred between the main memory and any device, then only we use direct memory access. So main memory is nothing but your RAM, right? Random access memory is the main memory. Now printers and keyboards generally do not generate or require large amount of data. So that most of the times keyboard, whatever user enters, it will be right encoded as ASCII characters, and that amount of the data that has to be transferred from the keyboard to the main memory, the size will be very less most of the time. Even printer also, whatever the data we need to be printed, that data we send from main memory to the printer, and that data will be very less. So we do not require a DMA controller for these devices. That means these devices never uses DMA, direct memory access concept. So small amount of data they generate, it can be transferred without DMA only, either using program controlled IO or using interrupts. So then which kind of devices uses DMA controller? One type of devices is network interfaces. Here you can see because network interfaces where computer communicates with other computer, and major reason why computers connect each other and communicate is to transfer data itself. So when there is a network, there is a data transfer. Now that data will be most of the time there will be very large amount of data. So if data is there from the network interface, has to be stored in the main memory, or from the main memory data has to be transferred to the network interface, that time we use direct memory access. So that's why network interfaces have DMA controller. Similarly, one more transaction where large amount of data transfer is required is with your external hard disk or external memories like external hard disk. So main memory, that is nothing but RAM, okay, and between external hard disk, for example your hard disk drive SDD, right? So external hard disk, or we can call it as secondary memories, and main memory, that is RAM. In between these two, there most of the time the data transfer which is right transferred between hard disk or external memory or secondary memory and main memory, okay, it will include a large amount of data. So for that purpose we will have DMA controller. Okay. Now there is one more interesting thing. Even though main memory considers this as the entire hard disk as a single device, single IO device, okay, inside the external disk, right, or inside the secondary memory, again it is divided into separate disk. So these disk inside a single hard disk also considered as a separate IO devices, and they can have their own DMA controller. So this is one interesting thing. So this is where we use DMA controllers in various IO devices which are connected to the computer. So in the previous diagram, you might have observed one thing, or you know already that there will be always only single bus to transfer data between any resources of the computer system. Processor require data transfer between processor and memory in order to execute most of the instructions. Right? Instruction has to be fetched from the memory. Data required for instruction execution might be there in the memory, or result, right, obtained from the instruction might be stored, maybe needed to store in the memory. So processor requires data bus or bus in general to communicate with the memory for the data transfer, for the execution of interrupts. DMA controller also requires same bus to transfer data between its IO device and memory. So there is a single bus, and processor and DMA controller have to use the same bus in interwoven fashion, means alternatively. Okay, but the priority for DMA to access the bus, DMA controller to access the bus, is high when compared to the processor to access the bus. So that means when processor need bus to transfer data between processor and memory in order to execute an instruction, but DMA controller also requests the bus to transfer data between memory and IO device, that time DMA controller wins the race or competition. Processor has to wait to access the bus for DMA controller. Once DMA process is completed, then only processor can access the bus. So this is a one case where processor is having lower priority than any other resource. Now what happens if multiple DMA controllers of, two DMA controllers of two different IO devices want data transfer or DMA to be happened at a time simultaneously? That time that higher priority is given to the fastest devices or high speed peripheral. So the device, input output device, which can transfer data with high speed, that particular device's DMA controller will win the competition to access the bus when multiple DMA controllers are in the race. But if processor and DMA controllers compete for the bus, then DMA controller itself wins the competition. So this is a one case where the important processor itself have lower priority than any other resource in the computer system. And even though DMA controller has higher priority to access bus for data transfer when compared to processor, the memory access cycles are actually originated by the processor. So now what is memory access cycle? You might know about the clock in the processor, right? So memory access cycles are nothing but the time in the clock, right? A particular time period during which the data transfer happens using bus. So it is a memory access cycles are nothing but that during particular period in the clock, okay, where we make use of the bus for the data transfer. And these memory access cycles or the period where data is transferred, most of the time it is actually will be with the processor, because processor makes use of bus more often to transfer data between processor and memory for execution of instructions. Now when DMA controller requires the bus, it has higher priority, then it takes the authority from the processor or the time period for data transfer or use the bus which is there for the processor, that time period is used by the DMA controller. So it is called stealing the cycles, stealing memory access cycles from the processor. Every time when DMA controller requires bus, it has to take the time period assigned for processor, okay, to access that bus, and DMA controller uses that bus during that time. Instead of that stealing, we can have an alternate approach where DMA controller is strengthened more or given more power, so that DMA controller itself initiates the data transfer, so that DMA controller need not get the time of the processor to access the bus. Instead, DMA controller itself initiates the bus. This is called block or burst mode. Block or burst mode, where DMA controller exclusively have capability to initiate transfer on the bus. There is no necessity of taking time which is actually assigned for the processor. So this is about the few concepts of direct memory access. Few more concepts are remaining that will be covered in the next video, part 2. Thank you.